Go live. Okay, hi.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, how's it going?
Good.
Good. Me too. How is your Sunday? How's your weekend?
Hold on 1 second.
Okay.
I'm just reloading the YouTube page.
Okay. Hi, people.
Yeah, got it now.
I'll talk about my weekend then.
Yes.
I house sat this weekend and I got to spend it with two wonderful dogs, huge dogs, a husky and a mixed breed. And they were super good girls, and I just chilled and watched Netflix and played with the dogs and got paid to do it. So that was great.
That's nice.
How about your weekend?
That sounds pretty relaxing.
Mm-hmm.
My weekend was good.
Good.
I pretty much spent yesterday like in bed. Didn't really
That's
do
allowed
anything.
sometimes.
Yeah, I needed it.
Everyone deserves that. Yeah.
Yeah, I had my blood test in the morning, so then like I felt really wiped out from that, even though it was like 4 tubes of blood or whatever, which like shouldn't even notice that. But yeah, so I just like watched YouTube for like 12 hours. So
Nice.
very
A great
productive,
weekend. Good stuff. No, that's really good.
restful.
Okay. Well, should we dive into today's topic?
We should. Let's just like say hello to our chat.
Yep, for sure. Hi, friends.
Hi everyone. Oh hey, GNC Centric is here.
Hi,
Thank you for
GNC
coming.
Centric.
Been really enjoying
Nastya.
your
Oh, go
streams
ahead.
lately.
Me too. This FGDF, what should we call you? I cannot pronounce that. Hello, Nina. Deleted. Hi.
Dragon, Corinne,
Nastya.
Hannah. Hannah leaves great comments all the time. Thank you, Hannah.
She really does.
So we have a really good topic, and I want to credit Radical Ramblings for coming up with this topic. And I was a little skeptical at first that there would be that much to talk about. But we are going to talk about Victoria's Secret.
It started with just an article I had seen about a new model they have hired, and I thought we should talk about that. And then that spiraled into an entire a whole entire string about a deep dive into Victoria's Secret and the awful exploitation they do to women.
Yes. So let's start with the company. A little bit of a background. Victoria's Secret was founded in 1977 in San Francisco. It was acquired by Les Wexner, who you see on the left in that photo, in 1980 for $1 million. And the other person in that photo is Ed Razek. And the two of them together at the helm of this company created a culture of misogyny within the company, both amongst the models and in the corporate buttoned up world. And of course, they created a brand that promoted a very macho, male gazy view of femininity and womanhood and all this stuff. And wasn't this Epstein's man? Dragon says. Yes, and we will get to Epstein in a little bit. It ties into this too.
Yeah. I'll just add about these two guys.
Yeah, go ahead.
I don't remember exactly the ages they said they were in this article, but they're in their late 70s and early 80s.
Yes.
And still pulling all this crap.
Yes. So I think Razek is in his 70s and Les Wexner is like about 83 now. Neither of them are involved with the company at this point, but this the main article we read was from the New York Times. It was like an expose. I think it was from early 2020. So
it's linked in the description box.
Yeah. And can you talk about like Razek, the things that he was accused of doing by women, by the models? Yeah.
So accused of things like, well, obviously, surprise, surprise, sexual harassment, trying to touch the models when they were at fittings,
Mm.
asking them to come sit on his lap, feeling them up, trying to kiss them,
Mhm.
um, inviting them to like homes and dinners privately,
Mhm.
uh, leading to all kinds of awful stuff that I'm sure these young ladies did not want to be a part of.
Yeah, and then if they didn't want to, like the
Mm-hmm.
ones who rebuffed him and were like, "No," they
Yeah,
lost their job.
they lost
So
their
there
jobs.
was a
A lot
culture
of
of yeah.
Weinstein-esque stuff.
Mhm. Yeah.
Swap actresses for models, same thing.
Yep, and it was really a culture of retaliation. Um, any women who complained, I mean, that's like a really horrible position to be in, like to,
Yeah.
this is your livelihood that's at stake and your
Mm-hmm.
reputation, "Oh, why did you get fired from Victoria's Secret?"
Mm-hmm.
So, it's really quite,
Quite
um
something.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Polar says, "We're looking into gross old men." Yeah, they're part of this story for sure. Um,
But not entirely. We won't be on them for too long. Don't
no.
worry.
Um, and also women who posed for photo shoots, they were coerced to pose nude,
Right.
um,
Sort of off the
also.
clock.
Yeah,
They got
they weren't
paid for
paid.
their Victoria's Secret shoots, and then as soon as that shoot was done, there was often a whole lot of, okay, well, let's shoot some other photos, and they're going to be nude. And what do you say? We're all here anyway. Let's just get to it.
Yep.
And again, there's like this atmosphere of if they say no, then what? Um,
Mhm.
and so they were not paid for these additional photos ever, and they're just out there for the photographers to use for their own purposes.
Yeah, and
Mm,
even though Wexner owned the company, Razik was really the one who ran it day to day. He was the one who
mhm.
casted the models, he ran the fashion show, the famous gross fashion show, he directed the marketing, so
Yeah,
he was the one
calling the shots.
calling the shots.
Yeah.
So, some discussion questions for you, chat, that we came up with.
Mhm.
Are beautiful women public property? Like, obviously, these guys felt, especially Razik, right? He felt a sense of entitlement to touch these women, to treat them in this like totally subhuman way.
Yeah.
But
Well, you know what? Actually, this just brought up to me.
mhm,
In the like the fashion world of like say the '90s or whatever,
mhm.
there's always this like famous thing that people say is that the models are meant to be walking coat hangers.
Oh, yeah. I
And
remember
that just
that.
occurred to me that yeah, they're meant to be walking coat hangers. They're not even people. They're not even persons. They're just there
Right.
to be walking coat hangers.
Display
So
the clothes. Yeah, I remember
exactly.
hearing that too, especially in that era of when women were so anorexically, like, stick
Hmm.
thin, and it's like, well, it's not about you should be invisible, we just wanna see the clothes, you know?
Hmm. Hmm.
Um,
But this idea of them being walking coat hangers is also so dehumanizing, which leads to an easier an easier way to exploit and abuse.
yeah, absolutely. Right, and that's why I was saying we were discussing this earlier, like, um, that yeah, it's something that even though I'm a feminist and obviously I've put a lot of thought into challenging my own way I've been brainwashed by this
Hmm.
society and everything, is even I still see a beautiful woman and feel a sense of entitlement or ownership over her, like, especially women
Hmm.
who are public figures. That's obviously something, like, I need to keep working on and undoing for myself, but I just wonder if
Yeah.
other people out there, like, know what I'm talking about or
Yeah.
because yeah, that they're put on a different it's not even so much a pedestal because it's not really a advantageous position to be in
Right.
besides the fact that they can make money off of their looks or whatever. Along with that comes this sense that everybody can feel free to comment on what you look like. If your appearance changes, you're under more scrutiny.
Hmm.
Um, people will comment on your diet and things like that. So I feel
Mhm.
like there is this sense that we own these women.
Yeah.
And yeah.
And whatever people have to say to them about them is, they get what they get, which is obviously not acceptable, but that's the way that these women are treated.
Yeah. Let's see what GNC says. They're not seen as persons, but as a consumable product for males. Their wants, needs don't even cross their minds, just prioritizing their perversion. Yeah, they're not seen as fully human. I mean, this is the thing we talk about a lot, right? Or like, do women have personhood?
Mhm.
That's what I think is the core question of feminism, like,
Me
or the
too.
core. Yeah, it's like that's the core thing that we need to achieve, is like even believing it about ourselves. Like I was saying this to a friend actually, like, oh, actually, I was saying it to you. What am I talking about saying that to you? Like that, like, it's something, if I get anything out of being involved in feminism, it's going to be the selfish thing of feeling like a person myself. And I'm still getting there. Like, I still don't even believe it 100% that I'm a person,
Yeah,
but
it's
it,
a daily thing you have to
yeah,
think about, practice, evaluate, do.
I've made a lot of progress. So
Yeah.
that's good. But yeah, that's my goal in being involved in feminism. And then especially if I can then uh, transfer that to other women too. The idea that you are a person just as much as a man is a person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Let's see the chat.
Mm,
Brianna
what?
says the whole concept of lingerie is so objectifying. It's uncomfortable and basically has the same function as makeup. I've had to work to stop thinking of lingerie as synonymous with passionate sex. Well, especially because when it comes to sex, you're usually not wearing it for that long either.
Mhm. Another thing I just thought of,
Mm-hmm.
um, this came from Project Runway,
Mm.
which I guess ties up. They did an episode, I think it was in season 4, where the challenge was to create a lingerie collection. And they were receiving the judges' critiques, and the one designer said, I think lingerie is designed to come off.
Right. Right. Isn't that the funny thing about um, this whole business is like it's for men, women buy it, they spend their
For
money
men.
on it. For men, it's, well, we're gonna get into that in the next slide, I think. But
Yeah. We
yeah, and then
should,
it serves very little purpose because it just comes off right away anyways.
yeah,
Um, the second question here
yes.
is, how do you protect employees or contractors, which is what I'm assuming the models are, from sexual harassment when the job is sexual harassment?
Mhm.
Thinking about things like the photo shoots when you're going to have a photographer telling you, look more sexy, stick your chest out, whatever.
Yeah. More bedroom
Which are,
eyes. Like yeah,
yeah, go
those
on.
comments or directions from the photographer or the producer or whatever are sexual harassment. Uh, so, how can a woman possibly bring forward any complaints against these men when this is the job?
Mhm.
There's little to no protections for these women.
Yeah, and it makes that line a lot harder to draw,
Hmm.
like between what is and isn't sexual harassment from like an employment
Right.
perspective.
When your job is to be a sexy thing,
Right.
you know, so many people would say, well, how could they then complain about sexual harassment?
Yeah. I mean,
Ah,
I wonder how it works in like pornography and stuff too, because it's like, I mean, that's a more extreme version of this. But should
um,
it, I mean, if those people should be entitled to like every other, that's a legal business, like
mhm.
how do you protect the employees? It doesn't really make any sense to me.
I want to share this from
Mhm.
Benji. Capitalism is as much of a problem in this context as misogyny. Full agree. Fully
Yeah,
agree.
I would say they're both in the mix for sure.
Not to toot my own horn here, but I have a video called Capitalism is Institutional Misogyny, where I kind of talk about capitalism and being misogyny.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Certainly true.
Yeah.
Oh, Polar
Okay.
Knight says maybe not have men work with the models.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, that might help. I mean, women are certainly capable of sexually harassing other women on behalf of men.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, that's an idea.
Yeah.
Don't treat yourself as an object. Yeah, it's a work
Yeah.
in progress, you know. It's something we
Mm-hmm.
all living in this society have to work through.
Mm-hmm.
Capitalism tends to commodify women. Yeah, absolutely. And at the same time, women are the scaffolding that holds up capitalism because without our unpaid labor, the whole thing would collapse. And
Mm.
who does it benefit? Men. Wow.
Men. Imagine
Uh,
that.
yes, imagine that. So we have another discussion point here. Something that you and I have been talking about a lot lately is
Yes.
womanhood as a performance. I talked about this in my stream on Friday too. The mask that we all wear, and it's not just makeup, it's not just the clothes that we wear, it's being cheerful or whatever, you
The
know, like
socialization that we have received and we continue to perform and uphold.
yeah. And the question we've been asking is who are we performing for? And which is a super important question because I'll give you a hint, it's not for ourselves.
Mhm.
Right. But
Yeah.
reading this article about these two guys who were like so influential over like what sexuality or even means for women or whatever with sexiness and stuff is who is directing the performance. So
Right.
we're typically performing for men or for this patriarchal society. We're not even directing the performance ourselves, though. We're being directed by by men.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, mhm.
Yeah. It also like the question I always think about is like, what would women be? How would women be without the influence of patriarchy on us for our entire lives? We don't
Mhm.
know. We don't know.
Right.
Which is a really like shocking and upsetting thing to think about.
What's underneath the mask? How
Oh,
many women don't know the answer to that question? They're so used to putting it on from the moment they wake up till the moment they go to sleep.
yeah, yeah.
Like what's is I mean, that sort of ties into the personhood question, right? Because if there's nothing under the mask or you don't know what's under the mask, then how can you really feel like a person?
Mm,
Versus a man who's just a person, no mask,
yeah,
you know, existing as they are and expecting people to accept them as they are.
as they are. Yeah, with no consideration at all of not being acceptable as they are. That doesn't even
Mhm.
cross their minds, really.
Yeah. Brianna says, so depressing, we don't even know our true selves. And I really think that's true. And
Hmm.
again, like I was saying, that's something for me. I'm like, that's what I hope to get out of feminism for myself personally. And
Yeah, I'm
then,
right there with you.
yeah. And then, and it's, I know it's going to take time. It's taking time, but I'm patient. But
Yeah.
then, yeah, to hopefully spread that message to other women too, to critically look at, are you performing? Is it exhausting? What would happen if you stopped performing?
Mm.
Who would you be?
Try it and see. I mean,
Yeah.
that's what I always like. I always encourage people to just you can't you can't learn about yourself. You can't get comfortable with yourself without trying and doing.
Mhm.
You just have to do
Yes.
it. And you have to
You
live through the discomfort in order to get to the other side of that.
exactly. There's so many things that are analogous to that, but Like, what comes to my mind, I used to be a rock climber, and I
Right.
had a really bad fear of heights, as do most people. And I was never going to get over my fear of heights on the ground and then go climb the rock. Like, I had to get over my fear by doing it. And there are a lot of women who are afraid to know who that they really are. But the only way to do it is to take those actions,
Do it.
even if they feel like they're going to be uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah. GNC says they live as the mask so long, their brains evolved to just be the mask.
Mm.
That's so, yeah, it's true. And it's really sad. Yeah. We were in GNC's stream the other day. We were talking about housewives and how, so many of them they really seem genuinely joyful and like they genuinely love it. And they, talk about like their families are everything, their kids are everything. And, I can't help but feel it's hard for me to fully believe it, knowing what I know about cognitive dissonance and the way that people
Yes.
make excuses for things and stuff.
Yes.
There's like a famous, this is a little off topic, but definitely worth talking about. There's a famous experiment where they had two groups of people and they gave them a really like boring task, for example, stuffing envelopes, right? And one group, they paid $1 per hour for like 2 hours of this work. The other group, they paid $20 an hour. So at the end of the experiment, they asked them to rate how enjoyable the task was, this awful, mind-numbing, boring work. The people who got paid a lot said it was awful, mind-numbing, and boring. The people who got paid $1 said they really enjoyed it. Because they had to find a reason. That's alleviating the
Right.
cognitive dissonance. They had to be like,
Okay.
there's a meaning to this. There's a reason I'm doing this. It's not to get paid. It's because it's actually fun and enjoyable.
Right.
So I always think about that when someone is describing something that I'm like, is that really fun? Do you really love it, or are you alleviating your cognitive dissonance?
Right.
That's all. Just a question.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. Should we move on to our next slide?
Yes.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
Epstein came up a little earlier.
Yeah. So, of course, things get tied back to Jeffrey Epstein. He was the personal money manager for Wexner. He managed his money. They had a close friendship.
Mm-hmm.
Wexner was on the island, etc.
Mm.
He gifted Epstein a $77 million townhouse in 2011.
Yeah, I think at the time it was the most expensive house in New York City.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And surprise, surprise, Jeffrey Epstein used his connection to Victoria's Secret to acquire his victims with promises of connections to getting them Victoria's Secret contracts, with promises to have them working in the industry. He acted as a scout for Victoria's Secret, which lured these vulnerable young ladies.
Well, he said he was a scout, but he
He said he was a scout. Right.
Trying to like traffic people.
Yeah.
I thought that's actually the model scout thing is kind of, if anyone's seen the movie Fame, like there's like that creepy photographer, videographer, whatever, that's trying to get, it's like very a common trope, that's a sketchy thing, right? Like, I don't know, it's like on the surface, just like model scouts is just such a like sleazy, not above board type thing anyways. But yeah, this Epstein connection was one of the things that sort of brought Victoria's Secret down. And let's get into this. So Victoria's Secret was part of this company called L Brands.
That's like their parent company.
Yeah, that was the parent company until 2020. And that was after Epstein. They just sort of everything was blowing up. Like on top of that scandal, then you had these women coming forward saying we've been so harassed. So that was another thing. And then, you know, all of their brands, including Victoria's Secret, were really part of this mall culture that started to like not exist anymore because of the internet, probably.
Yeah, exactly.
And so Victoria's Secret was really failing. They closed like 50 stores. They decided they weren't, or I guess they didn't get picked up for the TV show, for the fashion show or whatever. The
Yeah.
sales were like way down. So in 2020, they attempted to sell Victoria's Secret to a private equity firm, which that ended up falling through. And so they spun Victoria's Secret off as its own public company. And you can see in the graph there, that's the stock price of L Brands. And from the point where they got rid of Victoria's Secret, their stock price went up. So you can see like it was a big load off for them.
Yeah.
But L Brands included Abercrombie and Fitch, The Limited, Express, Lane Bryant, sort of like those mall culture
Mhm.
brands.
Yeah.
And the company was renamed Bath and Body Works after they got rid of Victoria's Secret. So I don't know if anyone has any experience shopping there. That's where I bought my underwear as a teenager and in my 20s for the most part. I always thought the quality was like very low. But you and I both grew up in that kind of mall culture.
Yeah. You go to the mall with your friends after school or on the weekends. You walk around, you have a milkshake, you look at things you can't buy, or you don't have the money to buy, or your mother would never let you buy.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was all like well, I said earlier to you, there was not and is not a Victoria's Secret where I live, but we
Yeah.
have, similar things. Um, and yeah, the mall culture kind of really uh, propelled these brands into the mainstream, I guess.
Yeah. And I think it's really quite fizzled in most places.
Yeah, I mean, there's the whole concept of the dying malls and
Right.
how these huge mall megastructures have, 3 or 4 open stores and the rest are just closed. It's
Yeah, exactly.
a dying industry for sure.
Um, let's see, there was one other thing. Oh yeah, the catalog. We talked about this too, like how kind of iconic, but not in a good way, it was. Male people, especially of my slash our generation, we're not
Mhm.
that far apart in age. This is like before the internet, before pornography, really.
Before you could easily access pornography.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So that was, boys, men of my generation, that was like a lot of their first experiencing like sexy women in print. Um,
Yeah, it's the catalogs. Flipping through them.
yeah. And
Mm.
we had it in my household too, because like I said, I shopped there.
Yeah.
And I just remember looking at the catalog and like not real, not questioning, like not looking at it critically, let's just say.
Yeah, certainly.
Not necessarily being like, "Oh, I wish I looked like that," or something, but
Yeah.
just it just sort of like there, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah. This is how it is. This is how it's always been.
yeah,
Yeah.
like the background noise or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Um, let's see, just checking out the chat here.
Uh,
Polar Knight says, "Yeah, I remember my little cousin as a teenager would shop at Victoria's Secret. Kind of felt weird watching her shop there at such a young age, full of showy lingerie."
yeah. GNCC Centric mentioned too. Where the heck is it? Oh, the pink brand is Victoria's Secret's like child brand, marketed to young girls, like I'd say like 8 to 13. Um,
Yeah, that's so
the
creepy.
groom,
Yeah. I
Beatrix
know
also mentioned there
Gail
was a
Dines
version.
talks a lot about like collective grooming and stuff, and I think
Mhm.
it like fits in with that. Um, and also they have like their um, body spray and lotions and sweatsuits
Yeah,
and all that stuff. It's not just like underwear, so you could definitely see like a tween girl going in there with her mom being like, "Oh, I want to get a hoodie sweatshirt or something," you know?
exactly.
It's
It's
like
like the
you're not
gateway
gonna get
drug.
the, like, nightie or whatever at that point, but, like, yeah.
A gateway to grooming,
Mhm. Yeah, it's like introducing them to it.
normalizing it.
Beatrix said, "I didn't know that about pink. I've seen grown women wearing it too."
Yeah, I mean, they make sizes and stuff for, like adult women too, but it is marketed in a much younger way.
Mhm. Yeah, obviously, it's like it's more colorful,
Yeah, whereas Victoria's Secret
pastels and stuff.
slippers might be, they're more sexy and sultry and
Right.
erotic and dark, whereas the pink stores are bright and colorful and fun and cheery
Like
and
a
cute.
sleepover party vibe or
Exactly.
something. Yeah,
Yep.
Nina says, "I feel that Pink absolutely was marketed towards younger girls. It was so popular amongst fellow middle high school girls when I was in school." Yeah, I mean,
Yep.
thankfully, all this stuff is super passé now. Like,
Hmm.
you wouldn't it's just of that early 2000s era, I feel like.
Yeah. Everyone wanted pink sweatpants and body mist. Yeah.
Gross.
Yeah.
Okay, so now we've seen how this company had this culture of misogyny, one of the things that's brought it down. And now where are we in 2022 with Victoria's Secret?
Yeah, so in the description box, we also linked to an article, an interview with the newest Victoria's Secret angel. Her name is Sophia Giroux. She's Puerto Rican and she has Down syndrome.
Yeah, so this is super interesting. She's a double minority. She checks two boxes because she's either Latina, I saw somewhere. I mean, she certainly appears white. I think
White people can
she
be Latina, but yeah, she's Puerto
yeah,
Rican.
she is Hispanic, she speaks Spanish, and she's, disabled.
Yeah.
So, to me, um, when I was taking notes on this, I jotted down that it really seems to me like a superficial and transparent and pathetic attempt to rehab their image by appealing to wokeness.
Hmm.
Um, and it's really creepy on some levels too.
Yeah. So some of the notes I wrote about this particular situation here is
Mhm.
in no way are we intending to be, wanting to be, trying to be ableist.
Of course
Um,
not.
Sophia is a grown 24-year-old woman, and
Mhm.
she, in her interviews, appears to be very capable of making her own decisions.
Mhm.
But let's not pretend like patriarchy isn't happy to exploit all kinds of women in all kinds of situations.
Absolutely.
Uh,
Um, it does feel like a publicity stunt.
hmm.
It's gotten people talking like we're talking right
We're
now,
talking about
so
it.
congrats, Victoria's Secret, it worked.
Yeah.
Um, the fact that it's framed as, like, the civil rights victory or something, though, is so gross and creepy.
Yeah. Yeah. And then we also wanted to talk a little bit about some quotes from Sophia's interview about being hired by Victoria's Secret,
Mhm.
um, talking about how it was a dream come true for her. And to me, it's like for a little girl or a young woman to have a dream or a goal to be a Victoria's Secret model, to me, it just speaks volumes about what women already know we are valued for. And that is
Mhm.
how we look, how well we perform femininity. And you
Yeah.
know, when your goal in life is to be exploited, objectified, for what? Oh man, it's heartbreaking.
Yeah. Julie says they're expanding the bandwidth of
Mm.
affability. Um, and absolutely, and we're going to continue to talk about that more. Um, specifically with Sophia, well, like you said, another thing I jotted down was that why is exploitation being framed as something that should be a dream for women, which is basically what you just said.
Yeah.
Um, why should we aspire to that? It's just, and you hear that dream language that's going to come up again too.
Mhm.
But, it made me think of this saying that people say, which is, what's my dream job? Well, I don't dream of work,
Yeah.
and this isn't a good thing to be dreaming about.
Mm.
I think that
Yeah.
representation for people with disabilities or minorities is like really great. We need a lot more of it. They should be represented proportional, to everybody else. But this is not it. This is not the representation that's going to move them forward in
Great
a
comment
civil
here.
rights type way. Getting more women into the sexy category only serves to fetishize their differences. For example, size, ethnicity, disability, etc. is bad for them. Totally agree. On the fetishization note, if you don't mind if I talk about this.
No, please do.
Um, so I looked up a bit about Down syndrome. I mean, I guess I knew basically what it was, but um, it's a congenital condition that you're born with. 1 in 700 births are a Down syndrome baby. It's when you have an extra chromosome. And so the characteristics, there are mental and physical differences, which often end up being challenges for individuals with Down syndrome. On the physical side, they tend to be small, short stature, small hands and feet, poor muscle tone, short neck, small ears, and the faces are characteristic face shape. It's possible for a person with Down syndrome to have a normal IQ and function normally and speak normally, but that's not typical. Typically, with Down syndrome, you see a lower IQ individual who needs some level of assistance throughout their life. So, like we said, Sophia is 24, but to me, a characteristic of people with Down syndrome is a childlikeness. So then you get into not only men who fetishize people with disabilities in general,
Mm-hmm.
but men who fetishize children. And so you have an adult woman who has childlike features who's being put in sexy underwear. And it's disturbing because it
So
appeals to that type of perverted man. So that was sort of my takeaway from this story.
yeah, yeah, and in no way are we speaking for Sophia and her capabilities of making her own decisions and consenting to be in this industry. Obviously, she said it's a dream come true.
Right.
But I certainly just hope that there are people around her who
Hmm.
are supportive and trustful in guiding her. Ah,
Absolutely. Yeah, and again, just like you said, it's no way to put down her at all. It's just
no.
pointing out the reality of any, you know, it just happens to be the physical characteristics, and often I don't know about, in her case, her mental capabilities, but it's
Mhm.
more common in people with Down syndrome to have a lower mental capacity. To fetishize a person like that or make them sexy is going to appeal to a certain type of man.
Ugh.
Yeah, that's just a fact. It's gross.
Yep.
And I don't know. It's like you kind of wonder, like, what was the meeting at Victoria's Secret like?
Right, the
Seeing,
casting.
right.
How did this go down?
And again, it's like I said, there should be more representation for these people. And sorry, I don't mean to say these people, you know what I mean?
Yep.
For people with disabilities. Again, I don't think this is
But it doesn't need
something
to
to
be
aspire to.
sexual exploitation representation.
Exactly. Thank you. Yes. Yes. Like,
That's not the means to equality
right.
or
Do
or
we want a
or
more
appropriate
diverse,
representation.
a diverse population of prostitutes? Is that going to elevate anybody? No. And this is
No.
just a lighter shade of that. So I think that everyone understands what we're talking about.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Wait. Interesting that they altered her Down's features with makeup significantly. I mean, if you're saying that about the photo we have in the slide here, maybe, but in the article that we linked in the description box below, there is a video of her being interviewed, and I think she looks pretty much exactly like this photo.
yeah, I tried to pick a photo that was sort of representative
What she really looks
/
like.
flattering, I guess. I mean, there was
Yeah.
quite a range if you look her up on Google Images of.
She's a sweet girl. She seems very sweet.
Yes, she's very sweet. I think she's very cute, but
Mhm.
um I just think the whole thing's unfortunate. I don't know.
Yeah, and like you said earlier too, it's just for woke points, woke rebranding.
Yes, it's that, it's a publicity stunt. It's to try, it's just like CPR on their brand, honestly. And then this goes along with that too,
Yeah.
is this gentleman, Valentina Sampaio, who is a male Brazilian model hired by Victoria's Secret in 2019. I featured him in a video a while ago. I don't remember. He has a very male body. I mean, this again, I try to pick
Imagine
sort of
that.
like peaceful pictures here, but yeah, you can't, the skeleton never lies, right? I mean, so
Yeah, when
yeah.
Valentina Sampaio dies and the archaeologists from, 700 years from now dig up his grave, they'll know that he was a male.
Mhm.
No matter how pretty he looks, no matter how many high heels he wears in life, no matter how many Victoria's Secret runways he walks, um, he's a male.
Right.
Yeah.
Pretty, he's a pretty male.
Hmm.
Still a male.
Still a male.
And again, this never stop dreaming, this dream rhetoric comes up again.
Yeah. The dream of, well, and okay, I didn't think about this earlier when we were discussing this, but it just occurred to me now. So often when it comes, I'm not saying that Valentina Sampaio is an AGP, I don't know, but a lot of AGP trans women, trans males, uh, dream, quote unquote, dream of being objectified, or
Mm,
they want to be, yeah, objectified in the way that they objectify women.
that's like a
And
very
to
Grace
be,
Lavery like thing.
yeah, to be exploited, to be objectified um, as a quote unquote woman
Right.
validates their quote unquote womanhood.
Exactly. Those, yeah, we know who they are. Andrea Long Chu or something. Is that, I don't know if that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I know who you
Yeah,
mean.
yeah, yeah. These people who, there's a few of them, right? Like you see that on Twitter, like people like collage this stuff together, but like these men who say that being objectified or even abused or whatever, then that's the fullest expression of womanhood or whatever. That's when they feel the most like a woman, like
Yeah.
so
When they get catcalled or objectified or
distilling womanhood down to this lesser,
Ugh,
very not even lesser, just like dirt or something
yeah.
low. Yeah. So Valentina said, I am really happy and proud to be part of this campaign and hope it could be a huge step toward more inclusivity and representation for everybody. Something I made note of with this story is I'm going to be a little kind to men here, so hopefully people won't hate me for that. But I think that objectifying feminized men is also bad for two reasons. And one is that it's not good for them either. He's being exploited too. So on
Mhm.
that level, it's not good for him. But it's also just bad for women in general because it reinforces the ridiculous standards of beauty that all women are held to. And I think GNC commented a little bit back. If the ideal female model has the body shape of a teenage boy, why not just get pretty males to dress up as women instead? And I kind of just said, why not, right? Because it's still not good. It's not good to objectify anyone in a female way or whatever. But this idea that the ideal female body standard is now that of a teenage boy. How can any of us achieve that? Because none of us are teenage boys.
Mhm.
So it's like Photoshop or anything. It's like they're creating these standards that are literally not achievable by women.
Yeah.
You can't stop dreaming when you don't want to live in reality.
Great point.
So here is Victoria's Secret's
Love Cloud collection.
their version, this Twilight Zone version of representation, diversity, and inclusivity, which, by the way, are really good things, as we've mentioned multiple times, and things we should strive for. But this ain't it.
Yeah. It was said earlier in the chat, like, uh, everyone can now be exploited. Everyone is up for grabs.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Mm. Yeah.
Corinne actually said earlier there was some feminist, forget who, of course, who suggested that the ideal woman's body, especially for modeling, was actually a male one, what with the fat distributions.
Right.
Yeah. Well, it always changes too, right? Like the ideal feminine like body type always
Right.
changes. When I was growing up, it was that like stick thin. Now
Rail
it's like having a huge butt
Yeah.
or
And it's
whatever.
different across cultures too, not only time.
Yeah. Yes, exactly. So it always changes. It's always
Yeah.
set by men. And so there are times in which, yeah, having like narrow hips or whatever is seen as a lot like more desirable.
Mhm.
So the Love Cloud collection. What I notice about these bodies, which are all supposed to be different, and the quote unquote fat model
Diverse.
or whatever on the right is like not even whatsoever. Yeah, they're supposed to be diverse bodies. They're all the same body shape. There's just no, you know what I mean?
Hips, narrow waist, large breasts for their frame.
Right. So they're all the same. Um it's not it's that yeah. It's what you see in plus size models. They're all beautiful. They have beautiful faces and their bodies are proportionally perfect for their size.
And no one has any belly.
Right.
They're all. This is diverse bodies. This is diversity. They're
No
okay.
cellulite. I think one of them, I don't know if you can see it in the slideshow, has a teensy bit of stretch marks, but basically they're all more or less perfect. So, well, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
Perfect by male standards.
Yeah. Completely conventionally attractive and acceptable.
Better. Thank you. You said it better than me. Okay. The Love Cloud collection, the bras retail for $40 to $55. The underwear is $16.50. I think all of it looks hellishly uncomfortable, even though it's being marketed as supposedly dream underwear to wear.
Yeah, it looks uncomfortable. It looks cheap. Not no quality at all.
Would I be surprised if it's manufactured in a slave labor setting? No, I wouldn't, but I don't have any information on that, but we know how that
I
usually
was
goes.
just gonna say this Aquamarina. They don't make any damn sense. They look like yeast infection crotch masks. I was just gonna say, yeah, like the kind of material they're all made of is a breeding ground for yeast infections.
We were talking earlier before the stream, and I was saying, like, that's the kind of underwear that you just know you have it on all day, and it's like slightly uncomfortable continuously. Like, yeah.
You're aware of it always.
Right. Right.
That's not what I want out of my underpants.
Right. Exactly. A subtle reminder, like, continuously. So
Yeah, we wanted to talk about also like the concept of body neutrality versus body positivity. Lisa talked about this on her channel recently, and it was really great. But your body doesn't have to be positive; it just has to do what it needs to do. You don't have to feel positive about your body. If you do, that's great. But you can also just be neutral. You can be satisfied that your body gets you around from place to place, that your body can nourish you, that you can do things you love to do in your body. You have to be positive about it. And if you can work your way to that, that's great. But neutrality is just fine.
yeah, and just realizing that your value just comes from existing, and beauty and all that stuff really has nothing to do with it. And I personally think it's okay to, like, feel good about yourself and like how you
Yeah,
look and everything, and or find something about the way you look that you like, you know what I mean? But it comes with the caveat of, like, that's not what makes you valuable.
right. Yeah, we women and our bodies do not exist to, like GNC Centric here says, be sexy or beautiful. And being sexy or beautiful is not, what's that quote? It's not the price you pay to exist in the world, or the
Exactly. It's not the tax that you pay,
tax you pay. Thank you.
for being in a female body.
Right.
Yeah, you don't owe beauty to anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
well,
no, I was gonna say it comes back to the performance and putting on the mask and everything.
yeah,
Just if you feel neutral to good about your body, you don't feel like you need to do those things, you
that's right.
know? So,
Yeah. Yeah. I was just going to
yeah,
add on when
go
you said
ahead.
about you don't owe anyone beauty.
Mhm.
On the opposite end of that, I almost feel like as feminists, we kind of do owe other women and especially young girls not performing beauty and femininity. Um, there is so much power in the idea that a little girl could see you out in the world in the line at the grocery store or at the bank or whatever, and you're not performing femininity, you're not being sexy, you're not being beautiful, you're just existing. And for
Mhm.
that little girl to think, oh, I could, like, that's okay too.
Yeah.
That is so much more important than being body positive or beautiful or whatever.
Yeah, you and I are of one mind on that. That
Yes.
it's one of the simplest, so many women get involved in feminism and they're like, well, I don't know what actions to take. Like, I want to make an impact on the world. It's like literally something you could do right now. It's just
Yeah.
being yourself and unapologetically not.
Yes.
That was one of my New Year's resolutions from my New Year's resolutions video about not apologizing for the way that you look
Yep.
as you are or whatever. Because that's something we're so conditioned to do. I
Yeah.
think
How many TikToks, Instagram videos, YouTube videos do you see influencers say, "Excuse my appearance," or "Sorry about my hair right now," or whatever?
exactly. It's so
Ugh.
common. It's so
How can you live
common.
with that?
And someone will show up without makeup, but they have to like almost always include that
Mm.
caveat that this isn't the real me.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, sorry, I don't have makeup on, but don't worry, that's not the real me. I'll be back with makeup soon.
Ugh.
That's the real me,
Yeah.
the person with makeup.
Sad.
Yeah, let's see what the chat is coming up with some good stuff. So let's just move on to the end here and open it up, whatever you guys want to talk about, any of the things we talked about today.
This is good. We kind of mentioned this earlier. It's different across time and culture.
Yeah, and that's one reason why, like, I, at least for where I'm at right now, I might look back on this and change my mind in the future, but I think it's okay to look at yourself and be like, I like how I look, because beauty is in the eye of the beholder. It's really, you determine whatever that means to you.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to, it doesn't have to have anything to do with the standard that society is setting. And there definitely is a standard, no matter what they say, everybody is beautiful or whatever. Everybody, that's just like a marketing thing anyways.
That's, yeah, exactly. It's just like we've said a couple times in here, a marketing or a rebranding to woke.
Yeah. Yep.
Mhm. Yeah. Let's see here. Sorry, I have not been paying as
I
close attention
haven't either. I'm looking
as I
at
should have. I'm not going to pay $50 for a bra that stabs me all day. So, the purpose of underwear is to clothe you, not to be some strappy shit that bends your ribs and permanently changes the shape of your body and hurts. Yeah.
Exactly. I personally like, I know this is controversial, but I do prefer to wear a bra even though I'm pretty flat chested. I just feel like it's more comfortable to me. But what I wear is just like the most, no wires, nothing, just like, I know
Yeah.
everybody's different with that, but yeah, that's the purpose, is to clothe you, to support you, whatever.
Yeah.
It's not to like contort you and stuff.
Ugh. Yeah. This is okay. I still have to work on feeling neutral about my body. I think we all kind of do.
Yeah.
Um, none of us have reached the ultimate body neutrality enlightenment. I at least haven't, that's for sure.
Yeah. I think it's but I think the first step is being mindful of these things,
Mm-hmm.
like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah.
Well,
And
and
go ahead.
okay, I was going to say, um, also, like, yeah, you have to be mindful of it, but also you have to practice it. You can't get good at things, anything in life, without doing it and practicing it and putting in effort. So
I
you have
agree.
to.
Exactly. It takes practice, and also realizing that you might not get it right. You're not going to be perfect at it from the beginning, right? Like anything that you practice.
Yeah.
That makes sense, right?
Yeah. Um, Anyone remember getting your first bra and all of them are padded if they're A or B cup? I hated that so much. Yeah, padding in bras I despise.
Yeah, I
I pretty
agree.
exclusively wear sports bras and the padding drives me nuts. especially because in so many of them the padding can come out, so you're constantly having to like re-shove it in there and adjust it. It's so annoying.
Yeah.
Mm, good times. So yeah, that's our breakdown of Victoria's Secret and all the things that are going on in that world right now.
Yeah, I'm really glad that you brought that up for discussion. I think it was a good deep dive to go on. I didn't know that there was going to be so much about it, but yeah, and
Yeah,
it's a fertile place for like a lot of these discussions, about personhood and performing and all these things, which are all relevant things we need to be talking about.
yeah. I think it also is a good reminder too that everything can and should be looked at through a radical feminist lens. Something that someone might think as innocuous, just like bras and underwear.
Mhm.
Um, if you look a little bit deeper or a little bit more critically, you're going to find a lot there.
Mm, absolutely.
Yeah. Yeah. So I don't know. I don't have a whole lot more. If you do, Lisa Marie or Lisa Michelle, sorry, please.
What Aquamarina says, I have my all natural self as a form of revenge in regards to men who pretend to be women. Check me out, buddy. I am hairy like Bigfoot in docks with silver hair and not a lick of makeup. Revenge. Yeah, I mean that's a good topic maybe for another discussion of like, especially with regard to makeup.
Mm-hmm.
It's
Yeah,
we're at the point where people associate makeup with womanhood so much
that's
that
right.
just by putting it on, a man literally becomes a woman. So woman is makeup, you
Yeah,
know?
and I'm right here with Aquamarina in that like me in my most natural form is is woman, and a man, no matter how much surgery, how much makeup, and how much effort he puts into it, will never, ever, ever be even close to what we are in our completely natural form.
Yeah.
Ah,
Yeah,
revenge, like she
that's
said.
one frustration I have with, like, GC women who wear makeup. It's like, how can you get there and be so critical of quote unquote "trans"
Or what they call
people?
woman face.
Right, and then do it yourself. It's almost like you're contributing to it, my opinion. You're contributing to that idea that makeup is inextricably interlinked with
Mhm.
womanhood.
Yeah. Yeah. I, yeah, you're so right.
Yeah. And I will say, I've said this a bunch of times recently, but like just existing in your natural state and feeling like that's enough is confidence that's usually um
Reserved for men.
exactly. Thank you for finishing my thought. Yes. And so to do that as a woman, it puts you on that level.
That is, to borrow a word, empowering.
Yes. It's just that it's having that attitude that I wake up, whatever I look like, I'm good enough. This is it. I don't have to perform anything for anybody. Take it or leave it. If you don't like it, fine. And that's the attitude that most men go through life with. Not all men, whatever. But, that's a more male typical approach to the world. Is this
Mhm.
is me. I don't need to change anything.
Yep. Hmm. Men get that from birth pretty much.
Mhm.
And we have to spend so much time and effort unlearning it. Ugh.
Oh, most people never learn it. Let's be real, but it's something we are aware of
Hmm.
and can work on. I feel like very fortunate to be at that place.
Yeah.
So it's your channel, your stream.
It's ours. It's just hosted here.
But just
Yeah,
however long you want to go, or if we want to
I'm
wrap
good.
up.
We
Yeah.
typically go an hour-ish. It's been an hour-ish.
Yes.
I am so appreciative of everyone who joined in and came to today's stream. Lisa and I are doing this pretty much every other Sunday, so catch us 2 Sundays from now with a new topic. Or feel free to also comment below if you have any suggestions or ideas or things you think would be good for a stream, because we are so receptive to suggestions.
Yeah, we're very open to whatever you guys want to talk about. You know what wavelength we're on with things.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, GNC Centric, for joining
coming.
us. Yeah, your streams have been so amazing.
Oh,
And I said this in my Friday stream, but you know, I didn't give her a chance because I saw she's posting these 5-hour streams. I was like, how could this be any good? And then I tuned in, and it's
great.
amazing. Yes, she's so eloquent. So if you guys haven't checked out her channel, please do.
Yeah.
And it's such a good resource, so educational and everything too. So yeah.
Yeah. And we've been all over GNC's chat.
Yeah.
We're two for
Yes.
one.
She runs a really good chat. So
yeah, thank you, everybody who came, and yeah, we're so grateful. It's so enjoyable to have such a wonderful community and women who are so incredibly intelligent and engaged. It just is. It makes it so much more enjoyable for us too. So
yeah,
thank
definitely
you.
makes our job easy.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay. Well,
thank you guys. Have a great rest of your Sunday, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
see you in 2 weeks. Have a great one, everyone.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.